Hello, USA Global TV and Radio worldwide audience. We are so excited that you are on this journey with us. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and I want to welcome all of our new viewers on Roku Worldwide as well as Amazon Fire. We are super happy to have you, and hello to all of our listeners on all the audio platforms, and hello to all of our loyal followers who've been with us since the beginning. Our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture, episode 116. So get ready to ride the bus with us and our expert team of powerhouses. Let's welcome the star of our show, DIANN FLOYD BOEHM. Hello.
Hi, Dr. JACALYN. It's great to see you.
Great to see you coming to us live from your studio there where you are writing all of your incredible work. Tell us where in the world you are and what are we looking at behind you?
This is the story garden where all the magic happens. It's filled with children's books from, I think, around 1850 all the way up to the present. And on the good news is that I just received the copy of the cover of the new series, Boomer, the Curious Bunny, and I'm really excited about it. He's adorable. Yay!
Yay, congratulations, DIANN. That's fantastic. And for people who are meeting you the first time, you are an international award-winning author. You're also the global networker and so much more. But I'd love for you to share, before we bring out our other team members, a little bit about the work that you've done going into schools and reading to children and doing all of the incredible book signings that you've done. Tell us about that.
Sure, I'll be happy to. Thank you. Well, when I go to schools or I'm anywhere at like a library and they have the children there, I am in hog heaven. I just absolutely love it. Children just brighten my day. They're so inquisitive and they know so much and they want to share. And so I don't just go in and just read the story. I try to make the story come alive and change the voices, but I also give them a little bit. So, like the other day, I was at a school and I was reading Harry the Camel, and I didn't just launch into the story because I knew none of these kids had seen a camel before. So I kind of gave them a little background about camels and riding them and so forth. And that got them all buzzed and excited about hearing about Harry. So my approach is to really have fun and ask them to put on an imagination cap. So we all put on an imagination cap when it's the younger children, of course. And then we tie it and they're ready to go and explore and have fun.
And Diane, you're so good at your book readings. I realize that I really need some help, so I'm gonna have to take lessons from you and others. But let's welcome Helena Chard. She is an expert on everything having to do with the royal family. She has broadcasts, I've mentioned before, from some of the biggest network platforms around the world. She's an advocate for happiness, and she also is an expert when it comes to casting. Welcome, Helena Chard, joining us from her studio. Hello.
Hey, hello, ladies. Lovely to see you.
Same.
Lovely to see you. I love that loft that you're in.
Thank you so much. It's amazing. You don't have very many of these in London, I tell you. But I love it. I love it. It's creative.
I can see how a person really could be creative in that space because it's so open and airy. I don't know, just conducive to letting the brain go where it wants to go.
Absolutely. It'd be great for your storytelling as well, Diane. Can you
It
imagine?
Fantastic. Well, we're going to bring the gentleman of our show, our expert correspondent, who's coming to us live from his studio, from his home. And notice what he has behind him. I'm not going to mention anything about it. But in addition to a number of awards and great photographs that he has, he's got some alcohol, some libation there. Simon MacDonald is also an author, and he is an expert in everything having to do with fisheries as well as aquaculture. Welcome to the show, Simon.
It's lovely to be back. Wednesday again. Yay. I really look forward
Yay.
to this time of the week. It's almost better than looking forward to the weekend. It's just a wonderful hour that we've got here. And and when we're all around the world, and our viewer is from all around the world as well. So it's just great. Just brings everyone together.
Absolutely. So just setting the stage for people who are joining us for the first time, we have a little chit chat going back and forth, and then Helen is going to do her royal roundup with royal news. Simon's got a presentation, and Diane and I will add some commentary. How does that sound?
sounds great.
Fantastic. Well, there's been a lot in the news about the king, and I know, Helena, you'll be touching on that probably, and I've noticed that a number of articles also about succession plans. I think there's rumors that we need to squash or to validate. So, Helena, I'm going to start off with you before you go into your royal roundup. Anything you want to share with the group?
Oh, not really. I mean, it's been a busy old time. I've been filming another royal show, actually, which was shot yesterday. All rolled into one. So looking forward to that coming out as well. It's going out on Sky. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. It's been very, very busy. It's always like that, isn't it? With me, I have so many things happening all at once. It's just juggling it, and it's amazing. You sort of think, my goodness, how can I do it? And then if you just go for it, which is what I do, I always get through it. So I'm feeling happy. It's good. It's good. And there's lots of royal things, and there's lots of positive royal things, which I love, and it's very good to report on these. Yes, there are a few things that I would say that I just bringing up. Last Friday, I was put on hold by a few broadcast platforms, and it was embargoed. It was something that was embargoed, and it's I was sort of given the update that it was to do with the king. My heart sort of fell to my feet, and I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to be reporting on? And then it got to the time, all ready to go out, and just got myself ready. But it was good news, to be quite honest. It wasn't bad news, it was fine. But I did wonder why it had been embargoed and why it was such a special thing. But yes, we will talk about that in a few moments. But I think the worry was, as we've been talking about the funeral plans being updated for King Charles, and there were things like this going on, and one of his so-called people in his circle had said that he really was very poorly, and so everyone was going down this doom and gloom path. So I think that was the thought. So of course it went up from there.
Fantastic. Well, I know you've got some more news you're going to share with us. I do want to say hello and a happy birthday, belated as it might be, to our friend Ian Pelham Turner.
Yeah.
And we miss him, and we hope he had a great day. Helena, did you get to see him?
Yeah, I did. I was filming with him on the day, and he basically didn't let up. He was telling me it was his birthday every 2 seconds. So it's out there. I mean, goodness me, when it's his birthday, it's his birthday. And I think it probably still will be his birthday all month. Yes.
That sounds like my mom.
He bought loads of cakes, absolutely so many cakes, because loads of people were going to visit him. He obviously bought about 7 cakes. I have not in my life. I don't know what he's done with these cakes. I did actually have 2 slices, which is a lot more than I would normally have over a period. But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys? Does everyone celebrate their birthday in such a big way? I like to do things, cultural things, but I'm not someone that.
I know some people celebrate for an entire month. It's like the month is the celebration, which, if you think it's nice because we're only here for a short time, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, why not? We should all be celebrating that we're alive. Yeah. I see that. I'll change my thought process.
Let them eat cake, so to speak. All right, Helena, we'll go over to you for your royal roundup.
Okay, thank you. So as I mentioned on Friday, I was slightly nervous. In fact, as I said, my heart had fallen to my feet, and I was really quite nervous. I don't normally get like that, because I just felt, goodness me, that there was something slightly weird. It was a weird sort of force. So, and it got to just before 6 o'clock. It was embargoed information, and I thought, oh goodness me. But anyway, the good news was shared, and the good news is that King Charles is getting better. So, of course, we were absolutely, as in fellow colleagues in the industry, were really, really happy to hear that. But we were sort of wondering why this sort of information was embargoed. But there you go. That's broadcast. That's information that was to be broadcast at 6 o'clock. And the good thing about it is we've seen a lovely photograph that was released of King Charles and Camilla, and this is taken by Millie Pilkington, and it was released on the Friday to go with the good news that he was going to start seeing the people and getting out there. He's still, look at that. That's really good. Millie Pilkington's a very talented photographer. She does a lot of behind the scenes royal work. I didn't really realise it, but gradually I've seen that she's done some lovely photographs, not only of the King and Queen, but also the Prince and Princess of Wales and children. And they're always the behind the scenes shots. And I'm a real fan of behind the scenes shots, because I think that's where you see the true character, the emotion, the bits and pieces. It's normally the little bits that are not the formal shots, which I think are so much more fun at any event. So I'm always excited to see her photography. But anyway, so the good news is King Charles returns to public duties. Obviously, he's been given the all clear to do that. He's still undergoing treatment, but he is thrilled to meet the people. We heard from Peter Phillips. He was saying, oh, my uncle, he's so agitated. He's really, really desperate to get out and start working. So he had this positive spin, King Charles, on everything. And of course, Queen Camilla, we saw them hand in hand, well, not hand in hand, arm in arm, as they attended an event yesterday, I think it was. My times, I've been filming and I'm sort of losing plot when it comes to, yes, it was yesterday. So a very thoughtful first engagement. He attended UCLH Macmillan Cancer Centre, and he met lots of staff and researchers and patients at the cancer centre. And it was so lovely to see him just being very relaxed, quite authentic. It's just, I don't know, it wasn't formal, and he was shaking hands and really chatting to the patients. There was a real bond between him and the patients, which was lovely to see. And he was there to again bring awareness to cancer and also to get to early diagnosis. And he was so happy, really happy. And I think one thing that got to me was when he said something which was like, it's such a shock to hear it when you've got it, and talking to fellow people. And I think as well, it's important to chat with people. This is something that came out from another cancer charity. It's so important that people that have cancer, they chat to each other. And King Charles was there and gave complete hope and inspiration to others. But also, when you think about him and his situation, he can't just rush to a charity or whatever because of who he is. So I think it must have brought an awful lot of good to him as well, to be able to chat with people. So he was saying as well, after meeting people, and they were so excited to see him, he was actually then going off to have his treatment. So do you know what? I wish him and Queen Camilla, I'm sure it's quite a nervy time for Queen Camilla, because she's supporting him, knowing that he wants to get out there and do a huge amount of work. But it must be quite worrying. It's such a busy time in the royal calendar. We have Treatment of Colour coming up, I think the 15th of June. Royal Ascot at the end of June, and of course he'll want to be there. He actually owns the racecourse, so I'm sure he'll want to be there. CHOGM, Commonwealth Heads of Government, where they meet in the South Pacific. There's the New Zealand and Australia, the tours that he plans, and also the incoming tours as well, and the numerous garden parties. I mean, honestly, there's so much. I mean, I don't think he's going to be able to do everything, but he thinks he's going to do everything, and that's absolutely lovely. I mean, even with Treatment of Colour, he rides his horse. He's a very good skilled horse rider. What's the word? He's very good, but I'm not too sure whether he's going to manage that. I'm sure he'll be in a coach, but I do hope that he intends. So wishing him all the love and good health in the world. And moving on, congratulations to the Prince and Princess of Wales on their 13th wedding anniversary. Now, this is another lovely picture taken by Millie Pilkington. This was captured. I think the lovely thing about this is that there were lots of formal shots. I didn't realise Millie had been taking pictures as well. And this is, you can see the Princess of Wales. She's wearing a beautiful, beautiful Sarah Burton dress for Alexander McQueen. I absolutely love that dress. She absolutely so stunning. The best day in the world, 29th of April 2011. What's interesting about this picture is Prince William is actually wearing his a different outfit. Because he wore the Irish Guards outfit actually at the wedding, because that's what the Queen's wishes were. But this is his royal his blues and royals outfits that he actually really wanted to wear. So he changed into this, especially for these photographs. And this is a behind the scenes, never seen before photograph. What that means is it's not been published, because actually he has had this on his desk when he's working. So we have seen it in the background. But just a reminder, that was such a beautiful day. I love that day. The buzz and the happiness and the sunshine, and the Queen was so happy, the late Queen Elizabeth II. Friends, the crowds were brimming with excitement. Everyone was sort of like hanging off the roads, and it really was such a special time. It's one of those days in my life. I was photographing, which I really, really enjoyed, and captured some wonderful photographs. But it was just so lovely to see everybody so happy. It's funny when I think about that point in time to now. It's so different. But anyway, and also to remember, wishing the Princess of Wales a quick and speedy recovery. She really does light up a room. So everyone's wanting her to get better quickly. Yeah, and again, talk about Prince William. He is now out and about, and he's been attending loads of engagements. I know that he was saying that he was spending time with his wife and children and making sure family comes first. But now he's been at loads of events, and the other day we saw him with Freddie Hadley. Now, Freddie Hadley, a 12-year-old, very, very bright chap. He goes to St Michael's Church of England School, and he wrote a lovely letter. There he is. Now, there he is in the corner, and this is Prince William surprised him. He turned up at the school. Freddie had written him a letter to attend the school and to see him and his mental health initiatives that he's put in place. And that was for last year on the 10th of October, which is World Mental Health Day. He wrote this eloquent letter, a lovely letter to the Prince and Princess of Wales. They couldn't attend, but now obviously Prince William turned up and they chatted about all these different things that are in place, and it's to do with men and mental health, and to do with this whole man up situation, which is, obviously it's to promote men talking. And beautiful, absolutely lovely. It was a lovely day. Prince of Wales was there chatting and telling his funny jokes, and all went well. And the whole thing about loving animals as well came into it because he visited a farm. But that's so good. But also he yesterday visited James's Place UK, and this is a charity I didn't know about. It's a very, very good charity, and it provides free and life-saving therapy for men to prevent suicide. Now, it is quite poignant because this is the beginning of Mental Health Awareness Month, May 2024, and we also have Mental Health Awareness Week, 13th to the 19th of May. And that is movement, actually, is the key thing, how moving more is good for our mental health. So obviously, Prince of Wales was speaking to James's Place and talking about how also the Princess of Wales would have loved to have been there too, and she will be out and seen soon. It was lovely to hear him say that the family was doing well, Princess of Wales was doing well. So that's really, really good news. I think it's a lovely thing as well to talk about. I didn't know about this particular charity. It's based in Newcastle. I think there's one in London at the moment and also Liverpool. This one in Newcastle has just opened this year, and they've helped so many different people. And also the fun thing was there was lots of families and children who had sort of knew that he was attending James's Place, and they got there very early in the morning, all of them, and they waited for him to turn. Now, I just love this photograph. Look how excited those children are. I mean, they're so, so happy. That little boy there, I don't know his name, but he sort of pushed himself forward and shook Prince William's hand, and a little girl behind as well. And they were just so excited. The parents were there as well. But, it's one of those days that they will always remember. And I love it when the children are introduced, because they'll always remember this. I think it's really very special. And I believe, because we've talked about various things, I think that's probably the end of my news. Just one thing I would like to say as well is that it's reported that no one leaves the battlefield unscarred. And I just thought I'd bring up that obviously we have the Invictus Games, which started here roughly 10 years ago with Prince Harry, actually the Prince and Princess of Wales as well. And we have got Prince Harry that's going to be here. And it's a special event that's taking place on the 10th, I believe. It's May the 8th, and it's the 10th annual Invictus Games. This is at St Paul's Cathedral. I think people probably know that I'm not too happy with Prince Harry, just for various things that he's done with the family. But I do think this is one of his good things. This is something to applaud him for, and it's a good thing that he does. The Invictus Games. Invictus actually means unconquered. That's the word. That's what it means. And he obviously served in Afghanistan for a couple of tours. And the whole thing is it's set up to help wounded veterans and personnel. And it's the games, and it's really great, and it gives people hope. It's what you can achieve after everything. There's so much that can be achieved. So it is a brilliant initiative. So that's going to be taking place in not so long. And the last thing I'd like to say, which is what I always say recently, because so many people have been asking me the same thing: the monarchy is not in trouble. The monarchy is absolutely fine. Over the years, over the decades, over the centuries, individual people within the royal family have to go through challenges. But these are separate people within the monarchy. And then things move on. So all is good. Thank you so much. I have so much more news, but I hope that's good for today. And if anyone has any questions, please do ask.
Thank you, Helena. I especially love this one too, as you were saying.
Oh,
So happy.
And that little boy is not called Simon MacDonald, I promise you.
He's just thrilled.
It's very sweet. When you see the video of him, he pushed his way forward, and then the little girls afterwards, they sort of tried to get in as well. But I just think it was the excitement, because obviously their parents expect to talk to them about the royal family, and it's so lovely to see. It's so lovely, and it's so lovely to see the King, Prince William, and soon hopefully we'll be seeing the Princess of Wales. So yeah,
Hopefully.
Absolutely. We have one more visual that I didn't bring up. Let me bring it up now. I wasn't sure when to bring it up, but
okay. So I just thought I'd bring that up. I didn't know anything about charity. This is actually James's Place charity, and this is, as I said, they're based in London, Liverpool, and also Newcastle. Prince William travelled to the Newcastle one, and he really opened it. Although it's open this year, and they've helped so many men. It's obviously a very, very good organisation that I will look into far more. As we know, men, when it comes to suicide, it's 3 times more likely that men take their own lives as opposed to women, 75% or something like that. So it's really, really high. So all good and really great that we can talk about it. I actually worked on a mental health awareness program. This is a long time ago now, years and years and years ago. And when I started, and I used to do news with them and do lots of production for the program, at that point, no one was talking about mental health wellness. Really, no one at all. And just in a short space of time, especially now, it's actually the norm. I mean, obviously, there's still a stigma in some respects, but it's so amazing, and it just goes to show when people make the effort and you really push to make change, and it's about making change, isn't it? How things can change if everyone puts their mind to it. So it's wonderful to see, and thinking about this young boy that Prince William went to see, Freddie Hadley. He's 12, and when you hear him talk, the passion about all the initiatives he set up, and how all of him and his fellow friends, they get together and they all chat about how they feel, and it's just amazing. I mean, honestly, it's so good, and it's so lovely that we have the royal family that can really shine a light on such good causes.
No, that's so true. To think a young man, he's going to be quite a leader as an adult as well. It's incredible what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love that photograph of the black and white one with the released for the wedding anniversary. I think that's definitely one of the most beautiful photographs of Prince and Princess of Wales. Really has. Stunning.
And for anyone watching, it's not that Simon and I are married, even though our names
You've let our secret out the bag now.
Oh my goodness.
500 million people worldwide are now sort of thinking.
Helen, I love how you share with us photos that are behind the scenes, because I agree with you. It's the real person really comes out. The camera knows how to catch the real person, right?
They do. And actually the photographer as well. I have to say, I do feel that women, I do think they make very good photographers. I think a lot of the time, a lot of the photojournalists over the years have been men because it was a very male industry. But slowly, we've been creeping in. And I do think, especially with the behind the scenes, it is capturing the animation in photographs and the love and the real feeling of the photograph rather than it just being a very formal pose. They're very good, and so am I at taking those pictures.
We've seen a number of your photographs when we had Celebrate Great Britain Royally Rich. They're outstanding.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have to say, my mother, who had no experience as a photographer, she took the best pictures of me for my headshots. The lighting had to be a certain way. Even when she had full blown on dementia, she was a really good photographer. It's interesting.
Oh, exactly. Some people do. You just have an eye, don't you? I would say.
Yes, definitely.
It's the eye for detail.
Absolutely. And I just want to announce, since we're talking about mental health, that we have a new team member who's in the UK who has battled all kinds of mental health challenges, from homelessness, bullying, rape, and on, has turned his life around. And now he has a show called Spread Your Wings. It's starting in June, and he's going to be interviewing people who have gone through mental health challenges. So happy to share that.
Thank you.
Brave.
Yeah.
That's
Very
great.
brave. Absolutely.
Very brave.
Will we start forming an orderly queue at the door now?
That's true. It's very true. Well, Simon, I know you've got a presentation for us today. What will you be discussing?
Well, today I'm going over to the East Coast again, near Edinburgh, just outside of Edinburgh, to the amazing Roslin Chapel. And this is one of these places where I think there's more mystery. Well, there's phenomenal history to it, but the mystery to it as well is quite incredible. There's so many unresolved and unsolved question marks over Roslin Chapel. So yeah, very interesting place.
All right, we look forward to it. Helena, would you like to share anything before you say au revoir for today?
Just have a great rest of show. Thank you very much as always, and I look forward to being back and reporting more on my royal news and any other things from the UK.
Thank you very much. And you can catch Helena later today for the Royally Rich Lifestyle Show, episode 25. All right. Thanks again. Bye for now.
Bye, Helen.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye. All right, Simon, over to you.
Well, here we go again. Another week of history and mystery, and this one is certainly doesn't fall shy when it comes to the mystery part of it. And it's all about Roslin Chapel, which is a 15th century Scottish Episcopal church chapel located in the village of Roslin, which is 7 miles from Edinburgh city centre here in Scotland. The chapel is dedicated to St. Matthew the Evangelist and was founded on a small hill above Roslin Glen in a collegiate church. The chapel was founded by William Sinclair, who was the first Earl of Caithness. And Roslin Chapel is the third Sinclair place of worship at Roslin, the first being in Roslin Castle, and the second, whose crumbling buttresses can still be seen today in what's now the Roslin Cemetery. Well, Sinclair, he founded the college to celebrate the liturgy of the hours through the day and night as well, and also to celebrate Catholic masses for all faithful departed, including the deceased members of the Sinclair family. During this period, the rich heritage of plain song, which is a single melodic line, or polyphony, which is vocal harmony, were used to enrich the singing of the liturgy. And Sinclair provided an endowment to pay for the support of the priests and choristers in perpetuity. So after the Scottish Reformation in 1560, Catholic worship in the chapel was brought to an end, and the Sinclair family then continued to be Catholics until the early 18th century. So since the late 1980s, the chapel has been the subject of many speculative theories concerning a connection with the Knights Templar and the Holy Grail and Freemasonry as well. It was prominently featured in the role in Dan Brown's best-selling novel, The Da Vinci Code, and Roslin Chapel remains privately owned today. Current owner is St. Clair Erskine, who's the 7th Earl of Roslin. Original plans for Roslin have never been found or recorded. Its architecture is considered to be amongst the finest of its period in Scotland. The construction of the chapel began on the 20th September of 1456, receiving its founding charter to build a collegiate chapel in 1446 from Rome. So although the original building was to be cruciform, as a lot of these chapels are, it was never actually completed. So only the choir was constructed, with the retro chapel, otherwise called the Lady Chapel, built on a much earlier crypt, believed to be to form part of an earlier castle. So the foundations of the unbuilt nave and transept, stretching to a distance of 90 feet, were recorded in the 19th century, and the decorative carving was executed over a 40-year period. After the founder's death, construction of the planned nave and transepts was abandoned, either from lack of funds or lack of interest, or possibly a change of liturgical fashion. But the lower chapel, also known as the crypt, shouldn't be confused necessarily with burial vaults that lie underneath Roslin Chapel itself. The chapel, it stands on 14 pillars, which form an arcade of 12 pointed arches on 3 sides of the nave. At the east end, a 14th pillar between the penultimate pair form a 3-pillared division between the nave and the Lady Chapel. The 3 pillars at the east of the chapel are named from north to south: the master pillar, the journeyman pillar, and most famously of all is the apprentice pillar. One of the more notable architectural features of the chapel is indeed the apprentice pillar, which was originally called the Prince's Pillar in a 1778 document. The name morphed over time due to a legend dating from the 18th century involving the master mason in charge of the stonework in the chapel and his young apprentice mason. According to legend, the master mason didn't believe that the apprentice could perform the complicated task of carving the column without seeing the original, which formed the inspiration for the design. So the master mason, well, he'd travelled to see the original himself, but on his return, he was actually enraged to find that the upstart apprentice had completed the column by himself. In a fit of jealous anger, the master mason took his mallet and struck the apprentice on the head, killing him. And the legend concludes that as a punishment for his crime, the master mason's face was then carved in the opposite corner forever to graze upon his apprentice's pillar. So on the architrave joining the pillar, there's an inscription: Forti est vinum, fortior est rex, fortioris sunt muleris, super omnia vincit veritas. I hope I got that right. The Latin scholars amongst us will probably correct me on it. But translated, it means wine is strong, a king is stronger, women are stronger still, but truth conquers all. Very true. Among Roslin's many intricate carvings are a sequence of 213 cubes, or boxes, protruding from pillars and arches, with a selection of patterns on them. And it's uncertain if these patterns have any particular meaning attached to them. Many people have attempted to find information coded into them, but no interpretation has yet proven to be conclusive. More mystery. One recent attempt to make sense of the boxes has been to interpret them as a musical score. The motifs on the boxes resemble geometric patterns seen in the study of cymatics. The patterns are formed by placing powder on a flat surface and vibrating the surface at different frequencies, and by matching these patterns with musical notes corresponding to the same frequencies, the father and son team of Thomas and Stuart Mitchell produced a tune which Stuart calls the Roslin Motet. There are more than 110 carvings of green men in and around the chapel. No, not Martians. Green men are carvings of human faces with greenery all around them, often growing out of their mouths. They're found in all areas of the chapel, with one example in the Lady Chapel between the 2 middle altars of the east wall. Other carvings represent plants, including depictions of wheat, strawberries or lilies, and the authors Robert Lomas and Christopher Knight have hypothesized that some carvings in the chapel represent ears of New World corn or maize, which was a plant which was unknown in Europe at the time of the chapel's construction. Knight and Lomas view that these carvings as evidence supporting the idea that Henry Sinclair, Earl of Orkney, travelled to the Americas well before Christopher Columbus. More mystery unrolls itself. In their book, they discuss meeting with the wife of botanist Adrian Dyer, and she told him that Dyer agreed that the image thought to be maize was accurate. The chapel has been the burial place for several generations of the Sinclairs. A crypt was once accessible from a descending stair at the rear of the chapel, and this crypt has been sealed shut for many years, which may explain the recurrent legends that it's merely a front to a more extensive subterranean vault containing the mummified head of Jesus Christ, the Holy Grail, and the treasure of the Templars, or the original crown jewels of Scotland. More mystery. In 1837, when the second Earl of Roslin died, his wish was to be buried in the original vault. Well, exhaustive searches over the period of a week were made, but no entrance to the original vault was found. So instead he was buried beside his wife in the Lady Chapel. Now, the chapel was the subject of a terrorist attack, actually, in the 11th of July in 1914, when a bomb exploded inside the building. Now, this was part of the suffragette bombing and arson campaign of 1912 to 1914, in which suffragettes carried out a series of politically motivated bombing and arson attacks nationwide as part of their campaign for women's suffrage, which also, of course, incidentally included the bomb that was in Westminster Abbey in London, which was designed to destroy the coronation chair and the Stone of Destiny, which I talked about just the other week. The chapel became the subject of speculation regarding its supposed connection with the Knights Templar or Freemasonry beginning in the 1980s. The topic entered mainstream popular culture with Dan Brown's novel The Da Vinci Code in 2003. Numerous books have also been published since to cater to the interest in connections between Roslin Chapel, Freemasonry, and the Templars and the Holy Grail. The chapel, built 150 years after the dissolution of the Knights Templar, seemingly had many Templar symbols, such as the two riders and the single horse that appears in the Knights Templar seal, and William Sinclair, 3rd Earl of Orkney and Baron of Roslin and 1st Earl of Caithness, claimed to be the hereditary Grand Master of the Scottish stonemasons and built Roslin Chapel itself. A later William Sinclair of Roslin became the first Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Scotland, and subsequently several other members of the Sinclair family have held this same position. The claim that the layout of Roslin Chapel echoes that of Solomon's Temple has been analysed by Mark Oxborough and Ian Robertson in their book Roslin and the Grail. And Roslin Chapel, well, bears no more resemblance to Solomon's or Herod's Temple than a house brick does to a paperback book. So if you superimpose the floor plans of Roslin Chapel and either Solomon's or Herod's Temple, you'll actually find that they're not even remotely similar. And writers, well, they admit that the chapel is far smaller than either of the temples, and they frequently scale the plans up or down in an attempt to fit them together. So what they'd actually find are no significant similarities. So if you superimpose, though, the floor plans of Roslin Chapel and the East Choir of Glasgow Cathedral, you'll find a startling match, and the four walls of both buildings fit precisely. The East Choir of Glasgow is larger than Roslin, but the designs of the two medieval Scottish buildings are virtually identical. They both have the same number of windows and the same number of pillars and the same configuration. The similarity between Roslin Chapel and Glasgow's East Choir is well established. Andrew Kemp noticed that the entire plan of this chapel corresponds to a large extent with the choir of Glasgow Cathedral as far back as 1877 in the Proceedings of the Society of Antiquaries. As to a possible connection between St. Clair's and the Knights Templar, well, the family testified against the Templars when that order was put on trial in Edinburgh in 1309, and historian Dr. Louise Yeoman, along with other medieval scholars, say that the Knights Templar connection is false, and points out that Roslin Chapel was made and built by William Sinclair so that the Mass could be said for the souls of his family. It's also claimed that other carvings in the chapel reflect Masonic imagery, such as the way that hands are placed in various figures. One carving may show a blindfolded man being led forward with a noose around his neck, that the carving has been eroded by time and pollution, and it's difficult to make it out clearly. But the chapel was built in the 15th century, undoubtedly, and the earliest records of Freemasonic lodges date back only to the late 16th and early 17th centuries. More mystery. Could this have been a forerunner to the Masons? Or is it possible that the Masonic imagery was added at a later date? Well, this could have been taken place in the 1860s when James St. Clair Erskine, who was the third Earl of Roslin, instructed Edinburgh architect David Bryce, a known Freemason, to undertake restoration work on areas of the church, including many of the carvings. Alternative histories involving Roslin Chapel and the Sinklers have been published by Andrew Sinclair and Tim Wallace Murphy, arguing links with the Knights Templar and the supposed descendants of Jesus Christ. The books, in particular by Tim Wallace Murphy and Marilyn Hopkins, Rex Deus, The True Mastery of René Le Chateau, and The Dynasty of Jesus 2000, and Custodians of Truth, The Continuance of Rex Deus 2005, have all focused on the hypothetical Jesus bloodline with the Sinklers and with Roslin Chapel. On the ABC documentary Jesus, Mary and Da Vinci, aired on the 3rd of November 2003, Niven Sinclair hinted that the descendants of Christ existed within the Sinclair families. These alternative histories are relatively modern, not dating back much before the early 1990s. The precursor to these Roslin theories is in the 1982 book, The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail by Michael Bagent, and Richard Lee and Henry Lincoln that introduced the theory of the Jesus bloodline in relation to the Priory of Sion-Hoax, the main protagonist of which was Pierre Plantard, and for a time adopted the name Pierre Plantard de Sinclair. So here we have it. Is this history? Is it mystery? How much do we know? And will we ever know just exactly the unraveled secrets of Roslin Chapel?
I was just thinking that, the Twilight Zone.
Well, I mean, it's quite an incredible place, and it really has an atmosphere all of its own in there. It's quite an extraordinary place, and like no other. They liken it, of course, architecturally to the choir of Glasgow Cathedral, but that's where the similarity ends. I mean, this place has a very peculiar atmosphere when you go in, and the carvings are like none other you would see anywhere else.
Quite scary.
This is a carving of Simon, apparently. There's
it's a pretty good likeness. Yes, that's me when I get out of bed on a Monday morning.
The detail work is incredible, isn't it?
It is extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. I mean, there's no modern tools. This is all done by hand. I mean, that's just one of many, many carvings throughout the chapel. The detail is quite incredible.
I thought it was interesting that it's also privately owned.
Yes, a lot of these chapels are. I mean, it's like, if you've got castle, then generally you have a chapel to it as well. I mean, Roslin, there's a big castle that was there in the past, which is really there now. Not all of it. So, yes, there's a phenomenal amount of mystery. I think there's probably more mystery surrounding that little chapel than there is to just about any other building in Scotland. It's quite an extraordinary place.
How far do you live from there?
Oh, it's on the other side of the country. It's an East Coast thing. They've always got a bit of mystery about them. We're quite open on the West Coast.
Fantastic. Well, great presentation as always. Thank you for taking the time and the energy to put it together. What about on this day?
Well, yes, of course we have to just take a wee look and step back about on this day. So, on this day in 1840, the penny black, which is the world's first adhesive postage stamp, was issued by Great Britain. So now, of course, you get postage stamps all the time, and they're now coming out of a printer rather than being proper stamps like the way they used to be. On this day in 1939, Batman made his first appearance in Detective Comics issue number 27. For birthdays today, we've got in 1769, Arthur Wellesley, was the Duke of Wellington and the British Prime Minister from 1828 to 1830, and he was born in Dublin. In 1852, Calamity Jane, the American frontierswoman, born in Princeton in Missouri. For deaths, well, on this day in 1873, David Livingstone, Scottish explorer who was famously found by Henry Morton Stanley with the immortal words, Dr. Livingstone, I presume, in Africa. And he died of malaria and internal bleeding caused by dysentery, aged 60. I've actually been to David Livingstone's house. He wasn't about at the time. A bit before my time, but they've got a fabulous, really interesting museum there as well, and most unlikely place. So fascinating history to that one. Maybe do something about Livingstone sometime. So another death, 1994. The motor racing driver Ayrton Senna, who was World Formula One champion for 1988, 1990, and 1991, sadly died in a crash at the San Marino Grand Prix, age 34. So there we have on this day for another week.
Thank you so much. I love that. Diane, we can see your whole face before we can only see half of you.
I know. That's funny. Anyway, Simon, you always bring such interesting facts as well as on this date. Like, I didn't know Batman was created in 1939.
I didn't either.
Yeah, he must be hobbling about a little bit stiff in the joints now.
He's got to be tired at this point.
I know exactly how he feels. He's got my sympathies.
Got to hang up that cape. How many different actors have played Batman? Does anyone know?
At least 5.
Wow.
There'll be a few.
Yeah. I mean, I'm counting TV as well. So
yeah,
yes,
that's true.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you had to watch Batman on TV, it was like high tech, wow, zam happening right there.
Yeah.
Wasn't it in black and white originally? I don't remember.
It was in black and white. That's
Well,
right.
the magazine that he appeared in was the cover was in color. I don't know about the inside. The inside possibly would be black and white then, but the cover was certainly in color. So he's been quite the superhero ever since then. I don't know when Robin came in. I presume it was about the same time.
Well, I always thought it would be cool to be as a Superwoman, and she had those cool bracelets. Like, hey, don't mess with me. Remember her?
Funnily enough, when I was living up in the West Highlands, a bit further north from here, and at Castle Chirham, which is actually the family castle for us MacDonalds of Clanranald, and it's a bit of a ruin just now, I can tell you, but the work is going on to have it restored fully. But a lot of filming's been done around that area, and for Superwoman or Wonder Woman, I think it was, they were filming there, and I remember seeing the whole scene being shot, and they had this great crane, great telescopic arm, and they had the Superwoman or Wonder Woman suspended by a wire under this, and they were sort of swinging it back and forward, across the front of the castle. And I thought, well, good publicity for the castle. Well, when it came to the actual screening of the film, they'd airbrushed the entire castle out, and it was just left with the beautiful scenery all around it. So it was an interesting day, that one. But this poor woman suspended. When they started filming, everything was perfect. The weather was super, and as soon as they got her craned up to the correct height and started going into the swinging motion with the crane, suddenly the heavens opened and down it came, big time.
Oh my
So
God.
they had, and of course, momentum had her going back and forth. And they couldn't immediately sort of drop her to the ground. Otherwise, she'd have skidded.
It was like a windshield wiper, back and forth, back and forth.
So they had to sort of gradually lower her to the ground, totally drenched. And so there was another day's filming went straight out the window.
Wow.
But in the same location, same area at Castle Chirham, they've had done the adverts for Volvo, Aston Martin, Bentley, all sorts of places, and a lot of the clothing, and designer clothing adverts have been shot there as well. So it's a beautiful backdrop, really stunning part of the world.
Sean Connery was from Scotland, right? Didn't he drive an Aston Martin?
Well, Mr. Bond did.
No, Mr. Bond. Yeah, Mr. Bond. I was thinking.
He actually drove and destroyed a few of them, I think.
I bet he did.
But
And
yes,
I
a lot
think
of that
your
filming
point-
goes on around here. I mean, there's been 2 or 3 Bond films have been filmed in the west of Scotland. 2 notably up at Ilendonnan Castle, which is quite a sort of an iconic castle landmark in the area. And then through Glencoe, we had parts of Skyfall. There's a house just not far from here, in fact, about half a mile away from here. And the gates that were used in Skyfall were modelled on in fact, it was actually the gates of the house just across the road from here. So, the movie companies like this area because they can film a whole 360-degree panorama and not even see a fence post. So, it's all natural, rugged scenery they've got here. Perfect for them.
That's great. I don't want to be up on a crane, though, swinging when they're
Are you sure,
Yeah,
Diane? Have you thought it over?
It's not compulsory, I mean,
Yeah. Do y'all get tornadoes? We've been having really bad tornadoes going up Tornado Alley in northern Texas up. Do y'all get tornadoes?
not as spectacular as yours.
I was just thinking if you're
in
like,
America, you do everything bigger than we do anyway.
I'm just thinking if you're up there on a crane, you'd have a really good view.
You're a real
of
twister.
a tornado.
Yes, quite literally winding yourself up. Yeah,
Like the Wizard of Oz. Didn't they have a twister in that one?
Yeah. That's what carried Dorothy.
Yeah, Dorothy, there she goes, and she's with Wonder Woman now. Yes, no.
yeah. We do get some fairly drafty days here, shall we say? I mean, I remember one hurricane came through, and it was the weather station was only about 2 or 3 miles away from the house, and the first gust was recorded at 120 miles an hour. The second gust was reckoned to be stronger than that, but they couldn't record it because the first gust had blown the thing away anyway.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Well, we have to close out our show because our next show is coming up. Diane, what would you like to share with our audience?
Keep love in your heart and pray for peace.
Beautiful. Thank you. We certainly
Lovely.
need that. Simon, how about you?
Well, I think you'll probably just say if you think you're too small to be effective, then you've never been alone in a dark room with a single mosquito.
You're just hysterical.
You are crazy. Well, thank you both for being here. I really appreciate it. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Or
Indeed.
Diane, are you here next week?
I am here next week.
Oh, my goodness. I shall alert the media.
Diane's here next week. Perfect. All right. I'll see you two later. Bye for now.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. And thank you to everyone who's watching or listening on the live. Coming up is Anne's Scotland show. It's called Launch It, Podcast Maestro, followed by the Royally Rich Lifestyle Show, episode 25, with Ian Pelham-Turner, HELENA CHARD, and Mr. Philip Sykes. And then, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we have a brand new show, The Mark Bishop Show, which is a Mark Bishop Media production. So do stay tuned. Thank you so much. Please do reach out to our team members. You can go over to LinkedIn. You can find them on our website, usaglobaltv.com. Just say hello. So you're watching the show. And if you have any questions, comments, or you want to work with them, they're available to assist you. Thanks again. We'll see you soon. Bye.
The last few days have been really amazing. I had a trainer course from the British School of Etiquette.
And I must say it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made and one of the best investments I've made in my own training and development.
Now, words alone will not describe the transformation and the positive path that I have traveled with the British School of Etiquette.
I find I learned a lot from the lessons this time I came.
The last few days with the British School of Etiquette have been fantastic.
And what I've learned now
is really beyond my expectations.
This is the most rewarding experience and the best investment I have made this year.
It was just great. I learned so much, and when I go back to Belgium, I will incorporate a lot of it into my day-to-day life and business.
It's been absolutely wonderful for the whole week that we were here.
I feel transformed, and I feel like blowing a trumpet and tell people, come and do this school. This class is the best. This is the best school ever.
You should take it. It will change your life immediately.
I am now able to teach other people how to bring the best of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, BSc.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.